All right, welcome to another project wrap up, mix down, review with your host, Cameron Argon. My last one of these, which was the Blood Era record, I said I was going to do one for Gorehammer and my vocal tracking, but I didn't do that. And what I did instead was work on the next Gorehammer record with Colton Bennett of Angelmaker fame, Mastermind of Angelmaker. So this is the record right here. I think it's kind of weird to do this too before the record comes out, but I don't know. I don't think a lot of people watch this, so it's kind of cool. Yeah, now there's no rules to this. Um, yeah, so Colton started writing this, and I was like, well, let me start writing it too. And I wrote a handful of songs that I decided weren't really a part of this record. And then Colton wrote 1 through 7, and then after I kind of started producing it and got the feel of the record, I wrote 8 through 10. It's funny, like they look. It looks like I wrote. If you look at the time, wrote a little less than half of the record, but it's only 3 songs. So this was a cool process. One of the things that was really important to me on this one, from what I learned from doing Blood Era, which was I pretty much spent all my time specifically on the production aspect. So what does that mean exactly? Colton sent me his guitars, right? And he sent me the drums and the bass MIDI. And the bass MIDI was probably the thing I didn't really change, and his guitars too. But I pretty much completely reprogrammed all the drums on every one of his songs. He kind of gave me like a perfect slate. Like he wrote really solid riffs, he had good arrangement, and his drum programming was like super simple. Like this is the kind of beat that goes along with this riff or section, and this is like kind of the progression type of idea. So I just took that and ran with it. I basically like I would say most of my time working on this record was like being the drummer and just kind of like redoing the drums. Now this is the mixed project file, but when I was doing the drums and for most of the time working on this, it was just one instance of Superior. Like, see how there's all these broken down things right here? There was none of that. Let me make my head a little smaller. That's fine. Anyways, so that was a big part of the record. There's a couple parts in the songs that I extended. Like this part right here is an extension. Starts here. He had it going through once, and I doubled it. The main reason I kind of doubled it there is because I added these cool synths. The synths on this record are so sick. Like, so cool to me. Now, just so you guys know, in the master, there's nothing going on. I have it turned down 3 dB. It's still peaking. Barely. But the mastering engineer on this, which was Stephen Hawk, who did Burning the Masses, Offspring of Time, and he did 2 of the Angelmaker records, mastered this. And he has a board, so he wanted stems. He didn't really. I'm not sure what he did. I haven't really asked him what he did. Masters sound great. I think the mix sounds great too. He was really stoked on the mix. So yeah, I'd say I started working on this like around December 20th, and I can't remember when I finished this. Probably around January 20th, but I would say most of my time on this was with the production. And then the vocals too. The vocals took some time. Look how many freaking vocals there are on this stuff. Tons. I used a Neumann 102L or 102M or something, condenser microphone. I just thought it was like kind of a good sound for the style of vocals. The Gorehammer style is like a little more quiet. It's not as like loud and projected as a lot of the Disfiguring stuff. Um, it's funny because I'm working on Disfiguring now, and I'm actually doing vocals. And I started with the Neumann, and I was like, "This ain't it." The Neumann sounds better, but it to me like the SM7B, I can feel it better. So I'm actually like, I think on the next Gorehammer record, I might try to use the SM7B. A lot of production involved. This is all the synths. I kind of have it the same way I had Blood Era, where like I've got kind of this main synth throughout the entire song. Sounds like this. Just like one synth that I kind of use throughout, mainly to like kind of back the guitar and bass on more melodic sections. And then I have like, all this random shit. Love that stuff. I guess I could just do this. It's funny because like with Disfiguring, I use a lot of synths and stuff, and then in Colton songs, I think all but song 4, I used a lot of synths. Pretty much all of his songs, I have some kind of like synth part. Song 7 doesn't really. Just kind of has like effects. The effects bus is literally just 808s. Kind of like if any effects I did, I kind of did while I was doing the production synth stuff. Sometimes I'll have like a session where I go back and add like noises and impacts and stuff, but I kind of just did that on this when I was doing it. It's only really key moments like this breakdown. Are these playing? No. So this is the guitar tone. It's from the Quad Cortex. I used Easy Mix the entire time I was producing it, which I'm not sure why it's not playing. Oh. This is the Easy Mix preset I've used like forever. It's the 5150. I use this on Deprive. I use this on Black Earth Child. I think I used it on Carnival. I'm not sure. I don't know. I've used a UAD amp a couple times, like on Caterpillar and Soothe. And I love this thing. It sounds great. In some ways, I thought it sounded better than the Quad, but it's kind of like how this is, where like the Quad just undoubtedly feels better, and you can kind of push it better. Like Quad doesn't sound as like let's do a little A and B. I'll mute the Quad, but like listen to Quad. It's funny because when you listen to it solo, it's easy to think that Easy Mix sounds better. I actually dialed in the Quad tone. Like I had the mix playing, right? And then the Quad tone was routed to the same output, but it wasn't going through the mix. And I just adjusted the settings to basically just sound good in the mix. And like pick the IRs based off how it sounded in the mix. So I never actually like listened to the tone soloed, which I think is really important. I'm kind of tired. I haven't been sleeping that much. 9:30 in the morning. Already had a coffee and I'm on that White Monster right now. If you know, you know. The drums was kind of like, I think I did most of this heavy lifting when I did Blood Era. I kind of just like used the same channel strips. They sound great. I used a different kit than Blood Era. But like this is the room, I think. And then overhead. Easy mix on the overhead. What is this then? Oh, this is a like reverb and stuff, random stuff from Superior. Easy mix on the room. This is like the same kind of thing I had going on in Blood Era. Looks like I'm not using this comp. Yeah, I don't think I even like looked at or touched this. This is just like straight from Blood Era. Kick designer. Wow, it does a lot. That does a lot too. Just kind of showing these settings. This is the same from the last video though. Oh yeah, way better. I'm not using this. I use this on Blood Era, but not on this record. It's a good channel strip. Little room thing. Yeah, this is clutch. This is some Ableton stuff. You know, basically like parallel reverb. I noticed I didn't sidechain it. I don't know if that's a mistake or what. Doesn't matter. Toms, simple. OTT on the toms. I think this is the big thing for the toms right here. I love this compressor. Exciting stuff. Bass group, I didn't reamp the bass. Using Gin bass. Just like the last record. Easy mix for the amp. I should try out the Cortex for bass, but I just love this mid scoop thing. Classic bass EQ. And the gold standard. And then I used a sub. It's funny because I'm using a different sub on the Disfiguring stuff. I think it sounds way better. This is just like the hip hop sub bass preset. I didn't even EQ it. That's funny to me. Usually I like this sub EQ. Where is it? Right here. This pattern. Just like it. I'll say too, I did this whole mix down in 2 sessions. I think I did the drums and the vocals and like this guitar bus. Again, a lot of it was like ported over from Blood Era and just kind of adjusted for like the better source material. It's all about the source material. You know, if you could be a really good, like that's why Blood Animal took me so long to mix. It's because the source material sucked. I spent most of the time like trying to fix the source material. This, it's like I only worked on the source material the whole time. The mix took me 1 day. Literally 2 sessions. I think I did most of the mix down on 1, and then I reamped the guitars on the 2nd, and then I think before I rendered it, I just did like a little leveling change. Like see this like point 5 thing right here, something like that. And then I think this is at 5. This is the vocals. I can't see, that's so small. Yeah, 0.6. Looking at the dB gain increase. So my vocal setup, I basically have a channel that I record vocals on. And then here's my 3 mono channels, a pan left, a pan right, and then one with Sidewinder on it. I did some like really low vocals on this record. These ones are really low. And with the condenser, it had a lot of air on it. Like when I would like just exhale at like such a low mouth opening, like and the other thing too, it's like I'm not a big fan of like doing a lot of vocal layering. I am and I'm not. Like I think a lot of my best material doesn't have a lot of vocal layering. But using the condenser, it just sounds good to layer it. I don't know what it is. Using the SM7B, I don't think layering sounds as good. So there's quite a bit of vocal layering. And that's kind of the idea of the project too. It's like just supposed to be ridiculous. So like layering a bunch of vocals is cool. Colton songs are really sick. This is the first album that Colton and I have done together. The first album was basically Colton and Johnny doing everything. And then at the very end, I just came in and did vocals. And now it's just Colton and I. So I was like talking to Colton at the beginning of it. And I was like, you know what? Like, this is when he wrote these 7 songs. And I wrote a few for it, but I'm going to use them for something different. They just basically sounded way too much like Disfiguring and nothing like Gorehammer, like nothing like this record. And I was like, why don't we just make this record about like you and I like figuring out this process of working together? And Colton's the man. He was like, totally. So I got to work on it and we were stoked. And then as I got closer to completion, I like just played these 3 songs at the very end. And there's 6 songs. Like track 8's just ridiculous death metal. Or yeah. You could see like Colton's stems versus like, you know, me recording on these little parts. There's some sick riffs. Super sick. Track 9 is the longest. It's like, it has a different vibe on the record, but I think it's a cool track. Yeah, I mean, we're stoked on it. He's on tour with Angelmaker right now, and then we kind of verbally agreed to like how we're gonna release this record, or verbally talked about it, I guess. So when he gets back, we're gonna get to work on getting this record out, because this is record number 2, but it kind of feels like record number. I want to say record number 1. It's not. Doesn't feel like record number 1, but it definitely feels like the first record that we've done together, which I think is kind of like printing the baseline for what Gorehammer is, you know. I have my bass, synths, and guitars, I'll route it to this. Gulfos is so good. Ducks when the vocals come in. Yeah, but I never used anything on the. This is how I listened to the whole track when I was. Great album. Like, I mean, yeah, I could show you all like the mixing things, but like I think the rule of thumb with this is like we just had really good source material. I worked on this whole album for like a month with just a superior drummer preset, gin bass with an easy mix amp, guitar DIs with an easy mix amp, no processing on the synths. Um, the vocals, I just did this gain reduction de-essing, and I think I had easy mix for my bus and kind of just did my own bus at the very end. But like, I don't know. I think doing having a project or working on one thing, like getting on nail the mix or whatever, and like trying to make something sound really good is great. And then you should take that as like your baseline for stuff when you actually go to like, in my opinion, actually make music. I think and what I've learned through doing this in the last 6 months too is like you really need to separate the mixing stage from the writing, recording, producing stage. Like those need to be totally different, you know? If you're doing both of them, you can kind of have an idea of how to help each other out on that end, but I think it's like if all you're doing is mixing and you're spending your energy on that when the songs aren't done, it's like you're really taking away from, you know, that aspect of it. So that's kind of my advice or my biggest nugget out of this record. And this is what I wanted to see out of this record after doing Blood Arrows. Like, I'm not going to mix this at all until it's all the way done. And that's what I did. And it was the way. I'm actually almost done with the next Disfiguring the Goddess record. And it's the same process. I wrote it all. I recorded it all. Right now I'm writing and recording the vocals, and it already sounds good just because the source material is good. It's the same kind of project template where it's like minimal mixing kind of stuff. And my minimal mixing, I mean like I'm using a compression on the vocal. I have like a easy mix on the vocal bus. My drums is just straight out of Superior. The only thing I got going on the bass is just this easy mix thing. So I don't know. That's my nugget. I don't know when this is gonna be out. My guess is gonna be like April maybe. So hope you guys enjoy this. Hope you guys are looking forward to the next Gorehammer record. I think Gorehammer's awesome. I haven't made music with someone else in like a million years. Literally since Mitch Luckers. Like the last time I've had like a project with someone. And Colton's the man. He's the main songwriter and Angelmaker. So he's just a riff lord, and I think our skills kind of complement each other really, really well. And I'm looking forward to the future of this project. This is a great record. I think it's a great record for us. We're really proud of it, but I really think it is going to kind of commemorate like the future of us working together. Like I think Gorehammer will be very special when we hit like each consecutive record we do. So I think it's a cool project, and I'm thrilled to be a part of it. We'll probably do more, kind of insight type story stuff on like Gorehammer and the formation and just how we work together and all that. But I did a podcast called the Brutality Podcast recently. You can listen to it on Spotify. We talk about it a bit on there. Not too heavy, but if you're in the podcast mood, you should go check it out. But yeah, that's kind of it. I would say the biggest things on this one was having good speakers, Barefoot monitors, only focusing on the production and songwriting the entire time. Having some mixing experience from Nail the Mix. I think if you watch my last video, you learned that I mixed it and then I referenced Nail the Mix, and there was little things I'll say like that I was doing right but wrong. Like I was compressing and de-essing, but I was de-essing before I compressed, and that's like little changes like that I kind of like learned. And then certain ways that people are, especially with the drums, like people how way people are processing drums and whatnot. Just so I'm not using Easy Mix. I use Easy Mix all the time, and it's great. You could use Easy Mix. I use Easy Mix in this mix, but I've got some cool compressors and EQs and stuff, so kind of cool to get to know. They all have a different sound. You could mix this whole thing with 100% Easy Mix, and it would be hard. Deprive and Blackbird Child's like all Easy Mix. Those things sound great still to me. A little dated, but still great. So that's the biggest thing I'd say is just focus on writing good songs, clean recordings, clean songwriting. And honestly, it's like I liked this when it was in pre-production. I thought it sounded good. I was like, if we just released this pre-production, I'd be happy. But I took the extra like day and a half to mix it. The Quad Cortex is an invaluable piece of gear when it comes to guitar tones. I'll talk more about that on the Disfiguring walkthrough, but yeah, short and sweet, not super thorough. Like I'm not, again, this it's kind of like a project walkthrough more than it is a mix walkthrough. I kind of touched on everything. Um, but yeah, this probably won't be the final track listing. I think these two songs are going to be the first songs. We're stoked. Anyways, thanks for watching. Take care. Talk to you soon. Keep going.